I hope you are ready because we are finally approaching the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale, and I got some tea. Not only that, but Rachel Leviss is reacting to Jax Taylor announcing that he's going into a treatment center. And she said, "What about me?" You're listening to No Filter with Zach Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's going on? Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in, everybody. Ooh, it is hot today in LA. I feel like it's burning up in the studio today. I feel like the air is like broken in the studio. The rest of the apartment is nice and cool, but the studio would be spicy. The studio be heating up. What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday. We finally made it to the weekend. Oh, Marianne Staff says, "Did you guys catch the disaster daters with the face-off between Jeff and Zach? Housewives, take note. This is how conflict and resolution is done." I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed the episode. Yeah, and it was quite a wild ride, wasn't it? And then people started weighing in with their opinions, and then people were like taking teams and taking sides. I'm like, listen, guys, we have made it on the. There's no need to take teams. There's no need to like. You can have your feelings about it, but I'm not gonna look at the comments because they're starting to get mean. Um, is wild. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a fun, or actually, it was not a fun episode to film, but it was an interesting experience. It feels kind of like Housewives Land, because like how you have your experience where you go through something, and then you have your experience where it airs, and then everybody else goes through it, and then like has their opinions of it, and you're like, oof, this is not fun. But listen, I'm back in studio today with Andy and with Jeff, taping the Pop Report and taping Disaster Dater. So be sure to tune in and check out both of those podcasts. There's a new episode of Pop Report that's out right now. You can also, if you haven't tuned in yet, Disaster Daters. I mean, literally, I had like neighbors that don't even listen or watch any of my podcasts. They were like, I had to tune into this. Like, this just looked like it was, something I couldn't miss. And I'm like, well, that's great. We had the best engagement we've ever had for a single episode on Disaster Daters. I was like, oh, let's get it. Laura says, so I shouldn't, so I should can't my Team Zach and Team Jeff t-shirt orders. Listen, you can always support. Okay, let's see. We have a lot to get into today. At least with all the Jersey of it all. So we have the finale that's coming up. I believe, what is it, this Sunday? Jersey airs on Sunday. Try not to confuse it with OC, which airs on Thursdays, which is so interesting because the ratings for OC are not what I think people were expecting them to be. Like they're pretty low numbers for Orange County, which I'm surprised about because I feel like everyone was so like pumped and amped about this Shannon versus Alexis drama, and now here we are. But what do we want to start? Do we want to start with Rachel? Show it to me, please. Rachel, show it to me, please. Rachel Leviss. So obviously news broke that, oh, by the way, guys, I'm on the Access Hollywood Housewives Nightcap podcast this week. So be sure to tune in with Lauren and with Emily. Lauren and Emily from Access Hollywood. They have a podcast together for Access Hollywood called Housewives Nightcap. So be sure to tune into the Housewives Nightcap this week. Okay. Jax Taylor, it was announced that he is entering a treatment facility, which we discussed on yesterday's episode of the podcast. He posted a photo with Cruz saying that he wants to be better for his son. They're currently filming the new season of The Valley. Brittany Cartwright, in the midst of all this, has announced that she has joined TikTok, and she announced that with a cute video of her and the rest of the Valley girls doing a cute little dance. I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad Brittany's doing well. She's launching her TikTok while Jax is in treatment, which I'm like, so then how serious is she taking Jax in treatment? Like, I don't know. The timing's a little weird, right? Like, wait a couple of days, like wait until the weekend at least, and then launch your TikTok. But like to launch the TikTok the same day that like the news is coming out just feels like you don't really buy it. And so if Brittany's not buying it and if Brittany's not believing it, then how should we buy and believe it? Especially when you hear the rumors that police were called to Jax's house. It makes you think maybe there's something to it, but I don't know. But Rachel Leviss has decided to enter the group chat, everybody. She said, "Hold on, wait a minute. What about me?" And I said, "Hold on, wait a minute. What about you? What?" She released an official statement on Instagram, which, we love when Rachel gives us an official statement. So Rachel Leviss wrote to Jax, and it's like a poem as if she's Taylor Swift or something, but she wrote to Jax. And then the message is not to Jax. The message addresses the public, not Jax. But anyway, to Jax, I am deeply saddened to hear of Jax's mental health struggles. So how are you writing a letter to Jax? You should write maybe about Jax. Dear public, I have something to say. The mistress has something to say. And I only call her that because that's what she said on her podcast, that she wants to be a representation for all the women that have been in the situation that she's been, which is the role of a mistress. I am deeply saddened to hear of Jax's mental health struggles, and I wholeheartedly support his decision to seek treatment. Girl, nobody needed your permission. Nobody was asking for your blessing. Jax don't even like you. Do we not remember the last reunion that they did together? Jax doesn't even like her. Jen said, I hope Jax isn't going to the Meadows. Not sure how effective their recovery plan is. Not very well. Joe says, does Rocky Rocky Bang Bang even have a relationship with Jax? No, if you remember, no, I guess the last reunion they all had together was the Zoom reunion, but the one prior, the last studio reunion that they all had together, remember, and Raquel wore that crazy like ruffle dress. It was like that. Oh, let me see if I can find a photo of that. Rachel Leviss. Oh, I guess it would be Raquel, right? Because this was back before she had an identity change. Raquel Leviss reunion dress. White. Yeah, that was an outfit. In case anybody remembers, it was quite the outfit. It was like it was this lace dress with this giant bow wrapped around her waist, and then all of these crazy ruffles. It was something else. Um, and that was the reunion where like Jax and Kristen were like, "Why is she here? What is she talking about? She's dumb." And it was funny. If you can watch back, like they weren't very nice to her, but like, I mean, they were a little, you know. Okay. So she gave Jax her blessing. She wanted Jax and the world to know that she gave her blessing. And she said, I pray that his news is met with the open mindedness that mine lacked, as I faced mockery and accusations of simply being at a spa. Girl, it's not about you. It's not about you. Let me repeat it one more time slowly. It is not about you. Why? Because you are no longer on Bravo. Why? Because you or your team made a conscious choice, a decision to leave the show because they said no, they declined to give you more money like you were requesting on top of the development deal that you reportedly were asking for as well. Remember, your team said we want more money. We want to pay equal to Tom Sandoval and Ariana Maddox, even though Tom and Ariana, I don't believe, make the same salary. We want equal pay, right? Even though you haven't been a season one OG and you wanted a development deal, which they declined. So you left the show and then said you needed to leave the show for your mental health. And then you launched a podcast where you perpetually recap and talk about the show. And now that the show is no longer in the air, you decided you wanted to issue a statement about one of the original cast members. So she hopes that people embrace Jax entering treatment, unlike her, because she was mocked. And people thought that she was at a spa, which wasn't she originally going to a spa and then it changed? I don't remember. I don't know. She wasn't at a spa. We get it. You were not at a spa. You were not getting a massage. You were getting the victim conditioning, is what you were getting. I hope he finds the healing that I did through my own journey. I still don't know what fucking healing she found. I'm very confused as to what the treatment center did for her other than make her a perpetual victim. Because here's the thing, you can come out and be like, listen, I changed, I did therapy. I realized that there was some shit from my past that I needed to process, that I needed to deal with, that were continuing to put me in these situations that at this point I realize I'm trying to work on and change and be different about, right? So, for my own mental health, I'm leaving Hollywood. I'm leaving reality TV world. I'm not going to talk about Vanderpump Rules because I want to move on with my life. I don't want to constantly be tied to this thing that I'm claiming hurt my mental health so badly. And not only that, but I think the world keeps, mocking me and making accusations of me simply being at a spa. So if the online chatter is continuing to do that and that's unhealthy for you, what you do is remove yourself from the situation, right? Just like a toxic ex, you don't keep going back to the ex and be like, but I'm healed now, so now I'm going to go back to the toxic ex because now I'm different, now I'm healed. Okay, she said, this situation highlights the urgent need for mental health care and accessible treatment for reality stars. Nobody's disputing that. We all agree with that, right? We're all on the same page. Reality TV and mostly the chatter online is hard to deal with. It's not easy. It's part of the job, yes. However, for some people, you just aren't built for it, right? And some people, and mental health is a priority. But also, I don't know. I kind of think when it comes to like personal accountability, listen, if the network is not going to give you therapy, whether you agree with that or not, whether that's right or wrong is beside the point. My point is, if your mental health is your priority, then you need to take charge of your own mental health. You can't expect anybody else, your employer, your boyfriend, your mom, your building manager, your booty call, whoever you want to expect to. You have to be, listen, you're the only one that's going to come and save you at the end of the day. If your mental health is a priority, you need to prioritize that and not wait for the network to come and save you. Because here's the thing, the network probably ain't going to come and save you. They're going to do the bare minimum that they have to do to keep it going. And you know what you did? You chose to sign up for that. I constantly compared it to being a gladiator, right? You signed up to get into the arena and you can't get mad when you get bloodied and battered. And if you chose to go into the arena and the facility that you chose to enter, the arena you chose to enter, if they're not willing to pay for your mental health or even pay for your physical health or pay for your doctor's bills, then not only did you agree to enter that arena, but then you are also if somebody else is not meeting those needs for you, then you're the one that's responsible for going out and making sure you're getting your body checked out after exiting the arena. If you get bloodied and battered, you made a choice to go in there, so make sure you're taking care of yourself and going to the doctor afterwards, you know? Your building manager is not really concerned unless your rent is late. Yeah, that's a good point, Laura. But I'm just saying, my point is nobody's going to come and rescue you. And so the more that you keep crying for people to come and rescue you, the more you're going to continue to be disappointed. I know that may be a more cynical approach on life, but I actually don't view it as cynical. I view it as empowering, right? You have the power in your own hands. So stop expecting Prince Charming to come and save you because he ain't going to do it. And again, not only did she exit the arena, go and seek treatment, but then she went back into the arena and is like, okay, I'm healed. But it's like, then don't put yourself back into the same toxic environment that you said was too much for you to handle. I get her point about like reality stars need, mental health care. I get it. But again, you're responsible for your own mental health care. You can't expect your employer to handle that for you. So, yeah, here we go. Rachel again, making it all about Rachel. When Jack's trying to get his mental health together for his family has nothing to do with her. But nonetheless, she persisted. Okay. When it comes to the case of Real Housewives of New Jersey, so we have the finale that's coming up, right? And so there are now spoilers that have leaked online. And um, according to OK Magazine, there's a bombshell that Margaret Josephs is now going to drop in this finale. And the big bombshell, if you don't want spoilers, I suggest you exit the podcast now. But so the big bombshell, well, actually, there are two bombshells. But Margaret's bombshell is that not only was she having communication with Louis' ex, but Jackie was also in communication with Louis' ex as well, and Jackie also spoke to them. And according to this source from OK Magazine, not only was Jackie communicating with them, but Teresa, I guess, forgives Jackie and understands Jackie because she was like, well, I spoke poorly about Evan, so I understand you were mad at me, so you were trying to dig up dirt on me. Whereas Margaret was my friend. And so I guess she's more mad at Margaret for talking to the ex instead of Jackie for talking to the ex, but she needs Jackie. Jackie's still a convenient pawn for her. And Jackie's a soldier, right? Jackie's going to do whatever Teresa wants to do to like make sure um make sure Jackie continues to do her dirty work. The same way Jen Aiden's now finally starting to wake up to it to like, she's a diehard loyal friend to Teresa, but Teresa has no loyalty to anybody. It's funny that she's always talking about loyalty and she's always talking about family, but, nobody loves family more than Caroline Manzo. Threw Jackie into the bus. Yeah, she kind of did. But she blamed Margaret for the room. Yeah, she's always, I don't know what her deal is with Margaret. She's always blaming Margaret. I think because Margaret calls her out on her bullshit and she's just tired of being called out. And Margaret's always like, Teresa, talk about it. Teresa, face the music. Teresa, look at yourself in the mirror. And Teresa doesn't like accountability. That's a lesson of the week, accountability. Okay. So that's Margaret's big bombshell that she reveals is that Jackie was also talking to the ex, but Teresa forgives Jackie, I guess. Um, and so Teresa, I guess it doesn't really hit hard for Teresa. And then I guess Teresa, because Teresa's claiming that she had evidence. She had receipts and timelines about Margaret talking to the ex, which again, I also get. I'm sure in Margaret's communication with the ex, Bravo Docket also has talked about the lawsuit and doesn't have Margaret in it. Yeah, I don't think Margaret's not a named party in the lawsuit. I think the point is that they were trying to prove that Margaret was in. I think the point Teresa's attorney, who I believe is the one that represented Louis in this case, the point was that they were trying to prove that the ex was in communication with people close to Teresa with an attempt to bring up negative information about Teresa so that the ex could get back at Louis. And so Louis was fighting that to be like, listen, she's still talking about me. We have a gag order. We're not allowed to talk about each other, but she's harassing me in this way. Right. I don't know if harassing's the right, but like just they were going at each other. The ex was accusing Louis of things. Louis was accusing the ex of things. And one of the things that Louis was accusing the ex of was trying to bring out dirt and slander his name. And this was one of the tactics they were claiming that the ex was using to slander. And I believe they told Margaret, hey, you may need to appear in court should we need you. And it doesn't appear that Margaret ever appeared in court, probably because the point was moot. It was irrelevant. It was unnecessary. So, yeah. Well, Janelle. Oh, God. Dana Wilkie reported that both ex-girlfriends were talking to Jackie. Well, Dana Wilkie, so everybody's so creative. Dana Wilkie, so um listen, I don't like Dana. I don't trust her sources. I don't trust any of her tea. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if that were true and Dana actually had a sliver of concrete information that checked out. But, Dana Wilkie likes sensationalism and she's going to run with whatever. But I believe that Jackie was possibly talking to one or more of the exes because multiple exes had been coming out and talking about. I wonder, though, if that's how remember in the show, in the earlier seasons when Teresa's like, "I'm in my love bubble," and then Margaret is like, "But what are these crazy videos?" Right? I wonder if because remember Margaret kept saying, "I'm not the one. I'm not talking to the exes, but the exes are talking." I wonder if Margaret is because I haven't seen the finale, but I'm wondering if that's the dirt that Margaret has on Jackie is that she's going to reveal to Teresa. You know how I knew about it 2, 3 seasons ago is because Jackie is the one that was telling me about this, and that's why Jackie was also able to confidently say, "Hey, by the way, um, here's what was going on." Let's see. Brianna B77 says, if receipts were shown, why not post on social media? That's another thing. Also, if the receipts are in the lawsuit, then they should now be, now that the lawsuit is done, they should now be public record, I would assume, and they should be accessible. I don't know. But if the Bravo docket accessed the court documents and broke it down and said that Margaret's not in any of them, then that says a lot. Uh, Marge found out because Jackie told her. That makes the most sense. Yeah, now that makes sense. Again, I haven't seen the finale. I'm just here. These are the rumblings that I've heard about the finale. I haven't dug deep into it, but this is what I heard as of this morning. And so not only that, but we've also heard about, okay, so that's the Margaret and the Jackie and the Teresa of it all. But that does make the most sense. Again, that's not me confirming that. That's just me kind of putting the pieces together with the information that I've gathered, right? But in addition to that, when it comes to the finale, we've heard about this moment where Danielle throws a pitcher at Jen Aiden's head. That's what Jen Aiden is accused. That Danielle got a pitcher of water and she threw it at her head, right? And people are like, "Oh my god!" From what I've heard, Danielle Cabral gets the pitcher of water, like picks it up. Who knows what, if she was planning on throwing it at her or she was planning on splashing her with the water, if she was planning, on going like that and like wetting Jen Aiden or pouring the vase on Jen Aiden's head of water, not necessarily trying to hit her with the glass pitcher. However, what I've heard is that, because obviously, and we've seen this, like when a restaurant brings out a pitcher of water and it's a glass bottle or a glass pitcher and there's ice in it, usually the ice or the water goes on the outside and it can become slippery, and that's why you have the handle, because the handle is meant to help you grip the pitcher because the outside does get wet. I don't remember the science behind how the water gets out of the glass because of the coldness or whatever. But so it's not dew, but what is it? I don't know what it's called. Somebody is smart in the live chat, I'm sure, and can explain it further. But I guess she grabbed the pitcher here. I have a cup here of um, markers. But so she grabbed the pitcher, not by the handle, but by the thing. And from what I heard, she tried to throw it, but it slipped. Yes, there we go. Condensation. That was the word I was thinking of. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Cubby. Thank you, Tra. Thank you, Ollie. Condensation is what happens when there's ice and it comes out on the outside. But so she grabbed it and tried to throw it or tried to pour it or whatever she tried to do. From what I heard, the pitcher slips out of her hand, falls and breaks. So, but from also what I'm hearing now is that doesn't get shown in the finale. We don't see that in the finale. For whatever reason, these sources are claiming that it gets cut from the finale. So I don't know why it gets cut. It could be possibly related to the fact that they don't want any more like violence, but they also showed her smashing the plastic cup into Jen's head. So I don't know why they wouldn't show the picture, unless the picture moment really was completely irrelevant to what was actually going on in the finale. That's also within the realm of possibility, right? Like it just wasn't real, because they'll cut things that just don't make sense for the finale. If there's, like conversations and context that is more important to the story of what's trying to be told in the finale, then that makes sense why they would cut certain things that may seem important or juicy or whatever. So yeah. I just heard Jen talk shit about Nate, called him a bitch boy, and said he has tits, and it pissed off Danielle. Yeah, and then she grabbed the pitcher and I guess, again, I don't know if she was trying to throw the pitcher at her or she was trying to pour the water on her. I just know she picked up a pitcher and the pitcher slipped out of her hands, from what I've heard. I'm so over the no violence thing. It actually makes me mad that Bravo doesn't show us the fights. She's like, I want chaos. I want the fights. I wonder if Danielle and Jennifer will be back since they have violent stuff. I don't know. Can she be sued? Can she be sued attempt of harm? I don't believe so. I don't believe they're allowed to sue each other for things that happen on the show. Um, yeah, I believe that's in their contracts, that if something happens and goes down, they waive their right to sue each other or the network for that. Now, again, as we've learned with Bethany and her reality reckoning, a lot of these contracts are contracts. You do sign them, but sometimes those clauses aren't entirely legal. So even though you technically agreed to that, and maybe, the network will try to fight you on that because they have more money and they have lawyers that, will fight hard. Sometimes not all of those things are entirely legal. So there are ways to work around it. Yeah. Nicole Keegan says, "Hey Zach, I know this is kind of off topic, but how do you feel Ariana did on Love Island?" I didn't watch Love Island, and I know that was a big miss. And we actually talk about that on the Access Hollywood Housewives Nightcap podcast. Because me and Emily did not watch Love Island, and we were like, that was a miss because it was a great season from what we've heard and from what we've seen. However, from what I have seen of Ariana on the show, and I wasn't watching regularly, but I did catch clips, I think she did a very good job. I mean, for someone that's not a host, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean her background. She's actor. She's acted and she's worked behind a bar. So like her writing a cocktail book, like that made sense. Or her, starring in Broadway. From what I heard, she's been a dancer and she did Dancing with Stars, all these things, right? But when it comes to hosting, like that is its own unique skill set, and not everyone can do that. I think from what I've seen, she did a wonderful job. I was very impressed. But just seeing the way she was able to look into, because there's also technicalities of hosting too, right? Sometimes there are teleprompters you have to read, which for some people can be very challenging. I know I've done hosting training. Um, Proud to say I was very naturally good at it. But I've also been doing this for a very long time. But in those trainings, I remember seeing other people try to read the teleprompter or try to look into a camera and hold, the proper cadence and the high level energy and deliver lines and not get out of breath in delivering your lines and all of that sort of stuff. So there is a skill set to hosting, and Ariana seems to naturally have that skill set, and I think she did a very good job. Sharon said that Love Island is just way too many episodes. It takes a lot of time. That's, I think, why I didn't watch it mostly, because it was good, but it's like once you fall behind, it's like so many times a week. Like you have to be an avid watcher and you have to be watching it nightly in order to stay up to date. It's like it's a lot. I see Rachel. Nikki B says, "I see Rachel differently. They made the whole season about Scandal, and she's just supposed to say nothing." Um, yes and no. I don't think they made the whole season about Scandival. I think they made the whole season about the fallout from Scandival and everybody moving forward. Like this is still a real part of everybody's lives, and everybody signed up and agreed to participate in that, right? Rachel was a very big part of Scandival. However, Rachel made a conscious choice to not return to Vanderpump Rules. And on top of that, she said that the excuse she gave was not about the money and not about the development deal, but the reason she didn't come back to Vanderpump Rules is for her own mental health, because reality TV is toxic. And if it's like, well, if reality TV is so toxic, then why were you in negotiations to come back? And if it is so toxic, then walk away from that world altogether. Maybe do an interview or cover it on your podcast one time to be like, listen, these are the things that I've seen or heard over recent weeks about what's been said about me. This is what I would like to respond to, because I believe I have a right to respond to these things that have been said about me. But also on top of that, she really wasn't that big of a talking point through Vanderpump Rules. Like, she was touched on at the beginning when Lala reached out to her. And then she was touched on when she did the Bethany interview and the cast reacted to that. But outside of that, the Scandival fallout from this most recent season really centered around Tom Sandoval and Ariana. And Tom Sandoval's relationships with the cast, right? Like Lala was trying to figure out a way to move forward with him because she never really liked him. Sheen was trying to move forward with him because she had a 15-year history with him. So I agree, Rachel has a right to say something and has a right to respond to when people talk about her, but for her to be watching the season episode by episode and recapping it and talking about Vanderpump Rules on her podcast week after week, or even as consistently as she was, if that was such a toxic environment, why would you wanna relive that over and over and over? And not just relive what happened in the past, but relive what's currently continuing to go on, you know? Christina A says, also off topic. Thank you guys for all the off topic talking points. About Real Houses of Orange County. Did anyone listen to Emily Simpson and Shane and her husband Shane on Jeff Lewis Live? She said a lot. I did not listen to it, but now I feel like I maybe have to. Sounds kind of juicy. Pamela B says, yes, that doesn't make sense that she was in negotiations and then said that she was looking out for her mental health. I agree. And then not only that, but now she's in the process of this lawsuit, which I understand, is to seek justice. But it's like, where has justice been for the last year? You waited until the very last minute to pursue this lawsuit. And it's kind of a frivolous lawsuit. I get it. You're mad at Tom Sandoval, but if you want to hold him accountable, you should have filed criminal charges when it all went down. And you're talking about a video that never went public. You're building a case against invasion of privacy when your privacy wasn't entirely invaded? Because from what we know, there's no evidence that proves that multiple people saw this video outside of Ariana. So, and also, I don't know. I feel like the playing field kind of gets evened out a bit. She saw a video of your coochie. You were fucking her man for 7 months and lying to her face. Mm, both bad, you know? um, Jen says, I hear a rumor that Teresa got fired. I hear rumors that I slept with a neighbor. I mean, rumors are rumors. I don't think any casting decisions have been made. So I don't think anyone has been fired or hired or whatever. I just don't think. Like everyone keeps speculating about the next season of Jersey and the casting of Jersey, but I think everything is just on pause at the moment. Nicole says, I know that technically Ariana shared the video to an individual who starred in it, but I do feel that Rachel is trying to cash in on Ariana's successes. 1000%. And she's kind of said that like it was unfair that Ariana and Tom got opportunities when she didn't get those same opportunities. But again, a lot of those opportunities she was offered as well. I heard that she was offered special forces the same way Tom Sandoval was offered special forces. She declined. She had opportunities that were coming her way. She just wasn't taking them. Sharon Watch says the Meadows is not getting any good PR with Rachel saying that she went there. It didn't seem to do a thing for her. I mean, um, Joe says, "Ooh, should I ask Zach about a rumor I heard? What rumors did you hear, Joe? Please share with the class." Kat says, I disagree with this, but everyone has the right to their own opinion. I think that the video scandal is terrible for a woman to go through. I would feel violated. It's absolutely violating. I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to negate her feelings. And Ariana sent that text to others, in my opinion. Well, opinions aren't facts, and until it's proven in court with evidence, those are claims and accusations that have yet to be proven. And as far as we know, Ariana has claimed that she has not shared that video with anybody else, and she's claimed that she's shared the evidence with Rachel's previous legal team that proved that yes, she was in receipt of that video or a copy of the video, but that the video had since been discarded. So when you send out a cease and desist and then the action has been ceased and desisted, why then file a lawsuit a year after that, right? Like um, the whole point of sending a cease and desist is to send it out before the lawsuit is filed to prevent the behavior from continuing, so that the behavior doesn't continue, or else a lawsuit will follow. The behavior didn't continue. Evidence was provided that the video had been discarded, but then a year later, the lawsuit was still filed. That doesn't make sense to me, aside from trying to cash in. So, Sharon says, I'd like to know how we know she never agreed to the video. Maybe she did, but in light of everything, she's saying she never agreed. Listen, that's a very valid legal argument that could be made, is that, well, I think the issue that they're going to run into is, I guess, it's discussed in some unseen footage of Vanderpump Rules of the finale filming. So if they subpoena that footage and prove that Rachel admitted on camera and Tom Sandoval acknowledged that Rachel did not consent to the video being recorded, but then Rachel can use that as evidence against Tom. But again, you're suing him for eavesdropping and an invasion of privacy. If you can prove those claims in court, um, but you're right, we don't know. We don't know if she consented to that or not, and Tom's legal team could argue that, you know? Tom violated Rachel's privacy first. Again, that has to be proven though, because the point comes down to, was the privacy violated if Tom never shared the video and had no intentions of sharing the video with anybody besides Rachel and Tom? Because Tom's argument is, well, Rachel agreed to broadcast herself to Tom Sandoval. So there was an understanding, there was an unspoken contract that Rachel and Tom were the two that were consenting to this exchange that was happening over an electronic device, knowing that this was being streamed or broadcast to Tom Sandoval. So Rachel agreed to share her coochie with Tom Sandoval. Does that also mean then that, but, and his argument is, it's like, well, yeah, I only shared it with me. She gave me consent to see this. I'm the only one that ever saw it. So how did I invade her privacy if this was exchanged with only me, and it was only meant to stay with me. Ariana's the one that broke into my phone and stole this, what was meant to be confidential information. That's kind of that's not saying that I agree with that. I'm not trying to defend Tom Sandoval. I'm just saying that would be what I would think is the legal argument to that. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm fascinated by it. I'm curious to see how this plays out. Obviously, I'm trying to look at it from different angles, um, and see, like, okay, I understand Rachel's side, I understand Tom's side, I understand Ariana's side from a legal perspective, right? Because to me, I think it's fun and it's enjoyable to kind of look at all sides and be like, ooh, how is this going to play out? Because you could technically argue this and you could technically argue that, and what is the judge going to ultimately decide on? You know, Nicole Keegan says, didn't Ariana state that she didn't share it to anyone else? Wouldn't it be perjury for that to have been a lie? I believe she has said that in her statement that was filed in court. She said that on the Call Her Daddy interview, and she said that on the Shenanigans podcast. So she has made this claim multiple times that she has never shared the video with anybody else. She also said that she never had an opportunity to share it with anybody else because Tom Sandoval took her phone and deleted it off her phone before she would have had the opportunity for anybody else to see it. Sin City says, wait, how is there footage? So there was a scene, I believe you're referring to how is there footage of Tom and Rachel having this discussion. There was a scene that was filmed in Rachel and Tom's apartment. It was the only scene that Rachel filmed for the finale where the two of them were talking. Remember, they're sitting on her couch and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it blew up this way. I never would have expected it to blow. And they're like drinking warm Coors Lights and like kissing on camera in the finale. Kat says it's so messed up that you can even record a FaceTime without the person knowing. I agree. And listen, here's the other thing. That's a lawsuit that she can file against Apple, being like, you didn't protect me. And now people are allowed to record me without me knowing. That I think is a bigger lawsuit that she can file against Apple for not having any sort of notification to protect from something like this happening. Lessons: don't share your beaver and expect privacy. Yeah. Listen, if I show my beaver, I don't expect any privacy. Wait, where was Joe with the rumor? Sin City. Wait, how is oh, I already read that one. Let's see. Brianna says, if there is no evidence, Ariana sent it to anyone else. It'll be interesting to hear the argument Rachel wouldn't know about without Ariana sending it to her. Yeah. So that was such an icky scene with them. Yeah, between Tom and Rachel in the finale. I agree. I think beavers are going to file a lawsuit. Maybe. Laura says it was very awkward. Yeah, that scene in the finale. Who else would record her beaver besides Tom? I don't know. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Okay, I do have to run to Spotify right now to tape our last episode of Disaster Daters, and then I have to head to our other studio in Hollywood to tape the Pop Report. So I do have to wrap today's podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you are a member of the Zack Pack on YouTube or No Filter Plus on Apple, then you will get a bonus episode. So stay tuned for that. I love you. I appreciate you. Be sure to listen to and subscribe to the Pop Report on YouTube and everywhere else. Be sure to listen and subscribe to Disaster Daters. You can watch it on Spotify or listen to it on all podcast platforms. I love you. I appreciate you guys. And I will talk to you next week. Unless you are a member, you will get your bonus episode this week as well. And then on top of that, give me a follow at Just Plain Zack all over the internet. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. I love you. I appreciate you. Looking forward to the Jersey finale. Hoping that Jax is not doing this as a stunt and will hopefully get some healing and not come out of this perpetual bedtime. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Have a wonderful evening. Members only. I'll see you tonight. Okay. Ciao for now. I have 40 minutes to take the dog's potty and get my ass to Spotify. Wish me luck.